Welcome or welcome back, everybody, to another exciting episode of Aaron's Opinion, the podcast for blind people, where we speak about critical issues in the blindness community and all other issues from across the universe and galaxy. Today, we're joined by somebody by the name of Cory, and I found out about this great guy from one of the various WhatsApp groups I'm in. As I've come to understand, you're quite a character around the YouTube and TikTok sphere. You've created this whole concept of legally blind, no limits.
Yes,
Your
sir.
whole life story is obviously fascinating, and it's a life story that I want to know. So, of course, I'm going to ask you the question I've asked others. Who is Cory? What is Legally Blind Limits? Tell me your life story. I'll mute the
For sure.
microphone. Go right ahead.
Yes, sir. Okay. First of all, thank you so much, Aaron, for having me today. I'm super pumped to talk to you. Super happy to be here. As you said, my name's Cory. I'm the creator, advocate behind Legally Blind No Limits. My concept pretty much stems from me running from my vision problems for my entire life and up until about a year and a half ago, and the journey of like, wow, there's a lot of things out here that I had no idea about. There's a lot of community out here. There's resources and tools to help me live better. And kind of that huge aha moment that has changed my life forever is pretty much what inspired me to start making videos and just to try to help maybe, somebody in my shoes, that's running from their problems, hiding from their problems to, actually try to figure out their life and get the tools they need to live better because we all deserve it. I guess to tell you a little bit more, I am a husband. I have two children. We live abroad now, where we're from New York originally, but we're living in the Caribbean now, in the Dominican Republic. And everything over the last year to 2 years has been to improve my life, improve the quality of my life, as long as in addition to my families too. But man, we're just trying to do our best to have as much fun, laugh as much, be together as much as we can, and just enjoy it as much as we can. Because as you know, Aaron, sometimes with a visual impairment, with blindness, it's so easy to feel trapped. It's so easy to feel like you're stuck. And this move and what the things we've done in my household, changing countries, changing our attitude and everything like that has been to combat that, to live with no limits. And granted, I'm doing my best to do that, but I know that's something we all can do. So that's pretty much. I hope that wasn't too much, man.
It's impossible when you're here on Aaron's Opinion. It's impossible to talk too much, and I'm trying to get people to talk and talk and talk and talk and talk.
Fair.
That's what I'm trying to get you to do. My goal is to make you not shut up.
Uh,
I absolutely love your journey, and I will tell you that we're going to obviously dig into the the nuts and bolts of this.
for sure.
Um, so I was born blind with glaucoma and a
Nice.
congenital heart defect.
Okay.
I'm 34 years old.
Okay.
And so what is the nature of your blindness? Were you born blind or did you become blind later on in life?
So I have a inherited condition called choroideremia. It acts a lot like retinitis pigmentosa, where the older I get, the less vision I'm having, going to have. It started very young. I was about 6 when my family and I noticed that I couldn't see as well in the dark as the kids around me, and that pretty much started a lifelong journey of dealing with retina specialists and eye specialists who quickly realized I had the same condition that my grandfather on my mom's side has. So at first it was the night blindness that at least I noticed. But as time went on, my peripheral vision, decreased. Right now, I'm a little under 10% visual field, or 10 degrees of visual field. And yeah, I'm a white cane user. That's my baby. I call it a sword. That's my samurai sword that I keep with me at all times. I always have a flashlight on me. I'm using the tools that have helped me feel a lot more comfortable and independent. But yeah, the name of my condition is called choroideremia.
Coordinatemia. Yeah, I've never. So I'm not knowledgeable about that one.
Fair.
But I have heard of RP, and RP is it really impacts people. I've interviewed a
Yeah.
lot of people. So you started off as a sighted person, right?
Yeah.
So,
I
so
mean,
that's a totally different mindset. As you've learned, it's
yeah.
totally different for you because you started off being sighted, right?
Yeah.
But in my case, being born blind, it's you're used to being blind your whole life, so you never
Yeah.
feel a sense of loss.
Yeah.
So there's a lot to be said for there's more to overcome, and it's
Yeah.
overcoming things in
Wow.
a different way. Yeah.
That's definitely a very interesting point, man. I think it's funny, being in the position of, once feeling excited and then, being where I am now. It's so easy for people like me to fall into this like gray area abyss in a way where
Sure.
I was in high school when my first eye doctor told me, "Hey, you're legally blind." Because I'm also monocular. I lost vision completely in my left eye when I was 7 or 8 years old.
Mm.
So having that in addition to my condition, my eye doctor told me when I was pretty young, you're considered legally blind. You shouldn't be trying to play football and basketball and all these things. But having that perspective of once being, for the most part, sighted in a lot of ways, and then now being in this position, it's that gray area is so easy to be misunderstood by almost everybody around you, if you're not in that position, because, I was able to hide my blindness almost to the death of me. It took a lot to get me to the point where I pretty much raised the white flag of I can't do this anymore. I need help. And that wasn't even voluntary. I had a retina specialist like curse me out. Like, what are you doing with your life? You are putting yourself through way too much. You're not thinking, you're not being smart here. And that, harsh conversation changed my life. That happened 2 years ago. It's not even like, this was a long time ago. So a lot of these tools and things I'm learning are super fresh to me.
Yeah, that is really interesting to me because for me it's like a sci-fi novel, it's like
Yeah.
these sighted people have to learn to be blind. I mean, that's like darkly fascinating to me. That's really interesting to me. It truly is.
Yeah.
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 And I totally understand what you mean about the shades of gray, and,
Yeah.
and for me, I'm a white and black thinker. I don't do
Yeah.
shades of gray.
Fair.
I don't do shades of gray because the only problem is I totally understand you, but the
Yeah.
problem with shades of gray is when people get into that mindset of shades in gray, everything's a shade of gray. They
Yeah.
they never
That's a great point.
they never really solidify and to become a white, black, hot, cold, left, right,
Yeah.
up, down
That's
thinker.
that's very fair.
But well, good. I'm glad. Well, thank you for agreeing, to which you don't have to. But what I'm saying is most people don't agree with me about that. Most people would say, no, no, everything is in a shade of gray. And
Y-
what I try to teach people is either things are or are not. There's a
Yeah.
shade of gray. Really, I mean, it's fun to talk about it philosophically. Well,
Yeah.
maybe. Well, maybe. No, I don't do maybe. Yes,
You,
no, up,
you
down,
know what's
left,
funny?
right.
The reason why I agree with you is because for me as the person, like for example, I'll just put this through the lens of, my own lens, right? For me, even though I know all my struggles and, like how difficult it is and was for me to do things that, normal sighted people can do. The reason why I still acknowledge the gray area is because even though it's clear to me what my struggles are, when it comes down to like, do I qualify for my local commission for the blind? Because I was hiding it for so long, they're like, all right, I see in your records, you were considered legally blind when you were young, but you haven't seen an eye specialist for years. And that's goes back to, oh yeah, I was hiding. I didn't want to know what was going on with me. So it created a gray area for the people around me, for the people who, have the potential to give me help because I created this mist, I created this, kind of delusion around who I am and what I'm going through for everybody around me. But I agree with you because for me, it's clear as day. Yeah, like there's a lot of things I can't do. I can't follow people. like I used to, or, at night, I'm definitely like, I'm using my white cane now, but before I had that, I would just be struggling and not wanting to do things and, pretty much hiding, cooped up, in my house because it was clear of what my struggles were. But, when it came down to like, hey, I need some help here. It was the gray area, made things a lot more difficult than it needed to be.
That's exactly what that just goes back to my point. Gray
Yeah.
doesn't exist. Things are white and
Yeah.
black. Yeah, but no, I
Yeah.
totally understand though. I totally understand because what I've done in my life and I do it less, but I think I'm more aware of it.
Hmm.
As I tell people, as I tell my students, because if I'm not a podcaster, I'm a lecturer, I'm an online lecturer, I talk all day. And what I tell students is when I was born blind, you don't
Hmm.
notice. When you're a little boy, you don't notice, discrimination or things like that because
Hmm.
little kids don't notice.
Yeah.
When you're a teenager, you don't care because teenagers don't care.
Yeah.
When
Thanks.
I was in my 20s, I got fed up and didn't want to hear from people. And now that I'm in my 30s, I care and I want others to learn with me.
Yeah.
So
Wow.
discrimination and struggle was always there. It's just when you're
Hmm.
born blind, you don't really perceive it that way. You don't really notice, oh yeah, that's discrimination. Or the other
Yeah.
reality is discrimination doesn't start to hurt until you're in your 30s, and then you notice how hurtful it is. Because when you're in your 20s, teens and 20s, mommy and daddy take you home. Oh, honey, don't worry.
So
Just
true.
don't worry about it. Go about your business, which is what you have to do anyway, by
Yeah,
the way. You
for
have to
sure.
do a lot more. Don't worry about it.
Yeah.
Easier said than done. Completely, point understood. It's completely understandable for you to have frustration and discomfort, and I totally accept that.
Yeah.
But obviously, one thing that really stands out, really just electrifying about you, is what's well, you obviously have this drive, this determination, this spark inside your heart and soul to create this YouTube channel. Now, you didn't have to do that, right?
Yeah.
But you chose to create a YouTube channel to which, by the way, if you had never posted, I never would have heard of you. I've never heard of this thing before, which goes
Oh,
to show
fair.
how much more knowledge there is out there. So
Fair.
really, what's your deal? What's wrong with you? Why did you
Yeah.
create a YouTube and how did you know to do that? Because
You know what?
obviously it's really impactful. Yeah.
Man, first of all, I appreciate the kind words, man. It goes back to just like how strong the denial was for me, right? Like the denial in my life of what my eye situation was so strong. I was so focused on hiding, what I was going through in front of everybody, including my wife, my mom, my dad. It was pretty much like being an actor and pretending 24/7 is what it felt like. And once I had that rough conversation, I was cursed out by my retina specialist. I love him to this day. Once I had that conversation, and he told me exactly who to call, who to reach out to, what I should be doing, what tools I should be using. He pretty much put me on the path of making my life better and getting the things I need to live and not be, this cooped up person. It was just that revelation just changed everything for me. And I was like, I know I'm not the only person going through this. I know I'm not the only person hiding to the point of almost killing myself multiple times, like a lot of times. And the dangers I was putting myself through and like on a daily basis was insane looking back at it. It was very avoidable looking back at it, and just feeling like, man, I know I'm not the only one. I felt like it was worth it to create the channel, to create videos, so people knew hopefully somebody finds me and sees they're not alone, because I felt like I was alone for so much of my life. And I mentioned that my grandfather has the same condition I have, but he was not the type of person to talk about it. If you asked him anything about his eyes or how he was feeling, he would shut down or get angry. And I kind of adopted a lot of that. growing up. If somebody was asking me about my eyes, like I didn't even want to talk to the eye doctors. I felt like you can't help me, so like, why do I have to talk to you if you're going to just say, all right, yeah, it's pretty much like a good luck type of thing. And that made me angry. That made me hide what I was going through. I do have a cousin, literally one of my favorite people in the world, who has the same exact condition as I do. And he's a streamer. Shout out to Phantom Orphan. If you ever want him on this platform, he would definitely do it too. But I've always had a worse time than him because I lost one of my eyes when I was young too. So as both of our visual fields are decreasing, I pretty much have been at half of what he has, and even though that's been the case, having him to lean on in my darkest moments to just say like, man, I don't know how I feel about this, or I'm struggling with this. How are you doing? That has saved me countless times. I don't even know if he knows how much times that's helped, me kind of stay afloat here. But yeah, it was just this whole content thing was born from all that. Just wanting to make sure nobody else, or if I could help one person avoid what I was going through, I thought that was worth it. And I never liked taking photos, Aaron. Like I was the type to avoid photos. I didn't want to be on camera, anything like this. So it's definitely a major shift for me, and not something I ever thought I would be doing. But I'm so grateful, man, because even though my goal is to help other people, man, just talking about this stuff, just getting all this out of my heart and mind and just out there, it's such it just feels like therapy for me. So I'm actually really grateful and fortunate to be doing it.
It absolutely is therapeutic. And that's what I've noticed too about creating these videos for people and these
Yeah,
podcast episodes is that not only is it great for you and I to have the enjoyment of coming together to talk about it, but you'd
yeah,
be surprised how many other people are secretly being helped just by having the conversation and being able to listen.
for
There's a
sure.
lot, the most important people in our lives are the people who don't have the courage to speak up.
Hmm.
And these are the people who, secretly watch the videos. These are the people who
Definitely,
secretly push download. So
definitely.
really walk through the channel. You've really grown your channel. So exactly what are some of your videos? What do you do? What's your like
Yeah.
themes? Like, what products do you work with? Like really break it all down, really
Okay.
get into the nuts and bolts.
For sure. So, my channel, and I don't know if this is to a fault, but I cover a lot of different things from, my experience with my eye condition and my eye problems. I talk about tech. I talk about AI. My Meta glasses test videos, have been really fun. I test ChatGPT. I have part two to my Meta glasses test video, coming out in January. My biggest and most fun videos are in the form of blind hack battles. So what we do is I go against opponents. I have three blind hack battles that have helped me in my life, and my opponent brings three on as well, and they get scored. We have a scoring system, and we treat it like a video game. It's treated like a battle, and it's really fun. The goal of it is to be funny and helpful at the same time. But I'm really excited about what it's turning into. My next guest, and I'll actually announce it here. I haven't said anything to anybody, but my next guest is Sam from the Blind Life. So next week, actually, we're dropping our video where we are going head to head to see who has the best blind life hack battles, and well, sorry, the best blind life hacks. So it's gonna be really fun. It's gonna be hilarious. But the tips are, I think, amazing, and I'm really excited for that video to come out.
That's really, really good. Yeah, exactly. So, what can you tell us about these technologies, the Meta glasses and
Yeah.
the Ray-Ban? So really walk through it from the perspective of somebody who doesn't know what it is. And I'm not
Oh,
an
for sure.
expert, but really walk through those pieces of technology. How do they work?
Definitely. So, and shoot, I don't have my Meta glasses on right now. But the game changer for me has been the ability to describe things in front of me in detail my eyes can't see. So whether it's finding the glass in front of me. Is that glass clean or dirty? What color are these things in front of me? Is it safe to walk here or not? Can you read what this, label says or the street sign says? All those things that, I can't really do much or at all anymore. The Meta glasses help a lot, especially since they released, they have a feature called Live AI where instead of prompting it by saying like, "Hey Meta, can you look and tell me this?" Now you can use their feature Live AI, and it's just like looking around with you, which is something I had no idea they'd be able to do so quickly and just update the glasses and be able to introduce that. But that has been huge. So I'm definitely excited to test that out more and try it more, in my day to day. But even things like ChatGPT, I know it's one that's there's free versions of that on most of our phones, if not all of our phones. But they have a point and talk feature that say you lost something, you dropped something, because for me, if I drop something, I pretty much consider it gone. So to be able to use tools like this to have the camera scan the floor or scan a counter or wherever I am, to be able to identify things and find things, and it's been a huge help from that standpoint. And yeah, I've been appreciating that because whether I'm reading a label or dates, on a food item or things like that, it allows me to do those things, especially when it comes to the kids. These kids always want to snack on something, Aaron, and I'm like, I have not. How old is this? So,
Yeah, absolutely. That is really, really fascinating. This technology, this meta stuff, it's a huge help to so many people.
yeah.
I kind of miss the days with Facebook, and I won't be at all surprised if Meta introduces it at some point, but there was a point where Facebook actually had a built-in podcast feature where you could like upload your podcast and then people could actually play the podcast through Facebook.
Oh, I didn't
That
know.
that feature, yeah, yeah, it didn't last. It was actually
Oh,
really cool looking, and it was all sparkly, and it looked all. It was very interesting when that was available for people. So
wow.
that was a really cool tool. I don't know. I kind of wish Meta would develop something like that, where for
They
all the
probably have it coming
podcasters,
back. I feel like
I haven't heard of it, but I wouldn't be at all
no.
surprised. Yeah,
Yeah. It
yeah.
just feels like podcasting is so popular, but it's such big business also. I thought they would be trying to bring that back as soon as possible. Maybe they're making some tweaks on the back end or something,
Who knows?
unless they bought out the race completely. But it just
No, I
seems,
have no idea. I wish it would. I wish it came back because it's a great
yeah,
tool. Because if you think of it this way, if a podcaster could simply input their feed into the Meta system and then Meta
yep,
creates a podcast playing software,
yep,
then anybody can just pick up their Meta glasses, sit around and
yep.
listen to a podcast.
It's so true.
That's ridiculous power.
Yeah,
That's literally like an explosion of power.
yeah. No, great point. And you know what? I mean, talking about that, like things like Spotify, I'm pretty sure Apple Music too, like iTunes, all that could be played through the Meta glasses also because there's speakers and microphones and stuff like that. It actually has a really good microphone
Oh, good.
considering their glasses. But yeah, it's convenient, man. Like having those glasses. Even like, I've used it to like save our parking spot. Like when I'm out with the wife and kids, it's like, where do we park? Like you could tell it, hey, remember this parking spot, and tell like read it, so that way, when it's time for us to go, we can recall that information. So it's been huge.
That's really, really good. Yeah. What have you noticed though about, when it comes to your specific audience? So where are you finding, since you're only really on YouTube as a video creator,
Hmm.
and since you don't do an audio podcast, which you should be just uploading your audio into the podcast, and you should have a
Sure.
podcast that goes along with the videos because it's
Yeah.
really simple and easy to do it. But regardless, so what can you tell me about your reach, your dynamic, your like audience? Where are people
Yeah.
finding you? Yeah.
Well, first of all, it's funny you said that. So my latest video, which came out last week, I actually sat down with my wife and interviewed her, asking about how my eyes affected, us when we were dating, us, as a couple now, kind of what she has thought along the way, how she's felt along the way, her family, her friends. I kind of asked her some questions that were pretty scary to ask, to be honest. And,
So what?
we,
So
we,
what scary? So hold on.
yeah.
So what scary question did you ask? You're not
So
getting away with it.
yeah, bro, fair. I had asked her a few. I asked her if she ever thought about leaving me because of my eyes. I
Wow.
asked if
Yeah.
any of her friends or family members ever, pretty much voiced concerns or doubts about me as a partner, because of my eyes. I asked about, has she ever had any doubts about my ability to protect and provide for our family? Things like that, man. It was it
Yeah.
was about a 30-minute
It's
conversation.
fabulous. Really well done.
And
And
yeah.
I've heard that blindness, especially with RP and your different condition,
Hmm.
when it comes later in life, there's a lot more tension from relatives. So that's
Yeah.
very, very common,
Yeah.
because now I think you're a little bit older than me. I'm 34. I was born in 91.
Yeah, I was born 90.
Oh, so basically the same age.
Yeah.
Um, so, when we were kids, if a kid was born blind in 1991, the other social difference is you could hide it a lot more easily. There wasn't
Yeah.
social media.
Fair. Yeah.
So,
True.
so what happened in my life my parents just grew up. We just grew up.
Yeah.
We didn't worry about it. And by the time social media came around, I was already a teen and a young adult.
Yeah.
Whereas now, if some, little kid is born blind, it's, seen as this big drama on social media.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
that's a little bit odd. That is where I think it's a little bit strange. It's not that big of a deal. But unfortunately or fortunately for family members and for people who've never dealt with disability,
Hmm.
disability really, really scares people. It
Yeah.
really
It
is an
does.
issue to talk about.
It does.
And I think although it's offensive to you and I that people are offended or turned off or afraid,
Hmm.
um, I understand where people still have to say, well, but no, I still have questions. I still have to talk about it. And I think
Yeah.
that's where I have understanding for it all.
Fair. No, that
So,
makes sense.
I've had a lot of interesting dynamics being that I'm a single guy.
Hmm.
I don't have to ask the same questions. I don't have to answer or ask the same questions that you
Fair.
do, but I
Fair.
hear a lot of these types of questions floating around.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
now you're the other, and we'll swing back to the videos and your other interests. But
Oh,
of
for sure.
course, a huge fascination that I've had my whole life is living abroad. So
Yeah.
I've never asked a blind person. So really break it down.
Hey,
If so now let me get personal. So is your wife Dominican? Do you have
she
you have
is.
di- okay, so
She,
you have Dominican heritage then, right?
yeah, my wife is definitely Dominican. That's most of the reason why we chose here.
Mm-hmm.
Not only does she speak the language, I am terrible at Spanish, I'll be honest with you, Aaron, but she's fluent. My kids are pretty much fluent. Pardon the chicken, my neighbor's chicken that likes to squawk at all times of the day. So if you hear that in the background, don't
Oh, I
judge me.
adore, by the
We
way,
are.
I love chicken.
At least I'm really here because of that. But
Oh, okay.
yeah, it's she has a lot of family here, including a lot of family that recently moved from New York and Connecticut back here also. So it's like my
Mm-hmm.
kids have English speaking cousins that they run around with all the time. We're always together. We're always hanging out together. Like I speak a lot of English here, because of the tribe that we have. So it's been incredible from that standpoint, but some of the major pluses that I would say, for anybody looking at, life abroad and what that could be is one, the cost of living, right? We all know what a financial struggle could look like, and just being tight, and it kind of goes back to being stuck where, well, like, like the price to live here is a fraction of what it was back home. I'm from New York, so especially being a New Yorker, the cost of living is huge. A lot of the conveniences here don't exist in such a convenient way. For example, like I could get everything, and now I know Uber and things like that, Uber Eats and stuff like that exists, but like I can get like the pharmacy to deliver medicine here, and they're here in like 5, 10 minutes most of the time, right? Of course, the food delivery and stuff like that is super convenient, but like when you have kids and you can easily get medicine and really anything delivered really quick because of the amount of like motorcycles that are used here. It's not like you're waiting on a car or like a regular bike. Like these guys are always on the road and they deliver things like lightning quick. Also like Ubers and like taxis are a fraction of the price here. Like when I was back home in the States, I could go down the street. I'm still going to spend $10. Here, I could be on a 15, 20 minute ride and I might spend two. Like things like that have been a huge game changer. We actually have help in our house who cooks food and cleans the house, keeps the house organized, things like that. And even that has been a major upgrade for us, as a family, because not only, when things are left on the ground, it's dangerous for me, but just knowing that the place is clean and perfect and we have meals prepared for us, it's just a different level of quality of life in a lot of ways. Man, even at the grocery store, right? I joke about this one, but it's so fun how I don't know if it's customer service, but like here, when they see me pull up, and it's not even just me because I'm with my cane, but it's like custom here where when you go to the aisle, somebody like there's the cash register and that the other person that usually stock stuff, they'll take all your items out of the cart for you, have it, go through, you pay for everything, they bag up everything for you, put it back in your cart, then they push your cart to your car or your taxi and unload it for you. So it's like things like that have blown me away where it's like, oh my gosh, this is accessible. The streets and the sidewalks are not, the greatest, not the most predictable. And I do miss like even sidewalks and things like that. But everything else has been such a major upgrade, including just the time we're able to spend as a family together and with other family members. It's been a major upgrade, man. We're at the beach all the time. We're in the mountains. We're in the rivers. We're exploring and just being in places that, I never really dreamed of. It's such a opposite feeling, such a contrast from being stuck at home to now we're just outside exploring and having adventures and laughing so much more. It's been a major game changer for my family. So.
Wow, really, really fascinating. Yeah, yeah. And I'm sure if you want to work on your Spanish, it's easier there because you could find
For
a lot
sure.
of you could find a lot of lessons. And the other thing is you would find that there's a lot of other American people who live there who need to work
A
on their Spanish
100%,
too.
man.
Yeah.
It's been actually really fun from that perspective because our group is obviously a lot of American Dominicans, but I've joined a few like Facebook groups and stuff like that where it's like, oh my gosh, there's so many of us here. Or like, say I'm in the supermarket and you hear English being spoken, I'm like, oh. It feels like you found a family member in a way. So yeah, I've actually met some really amazing people just by hearing other people communicate, and I'm like, hey man, what's up? What's going on? And spark some conversations and stuff like that. We've definitely made some friends that way.
Yeah, yeah. I'm bilingual English French, by the way. So
Oh,
I'm
nice.
yeah, yeah. So occasionally you would also hear French there from people from France or from
Yeah.
people from the other side of the spectrum, Haiti, Laïti,
Yeah,
who have.
exactly.
So if you're hearing French, that's what they are. They're Haitians
Yeah.
who have defected into the Dominican Republic to
Yeah.
work, understandably, which is understandable.
Yeah, yeah,
Anyway,
for sure.
yeah,
That's definitely
that's
very big.
really, yeah, that's a really fascinating thing. I mean, being that I don't speak Spanish, I'm not familiar with it terribly. I mean, I've heard of Santo Domingo. I mean, I've heard of the
Hmm.
place, but I've never been. The closest that I've been is St. Lucia, so I kind of
Got it.
understand the lifestyle,
Fair, fair.
But I think if you are in the capital, I would think that Santo Domingo would be a lot more bigger and bustling. But yeah, what can you tell me about, the
It
main
is.
city there? Like, is it to
Yeah.
an American,
So
is it a city or is it just a big town?
Santo Domingo is, I mean, that's pretty much, to me, it feels like Florida.
Okay.
I mean, it's bustling. It's definitely a city. If you picture a city with just more palm trees, you got the architecture is of course different, and it's going to depend on the part of the city you're in too. But like for example, where we are, there's a huge park right across the street essentially that goes on for what feels like miles, and it's green and it's beautiful. And yeah, I mean the capital is has been very beautiful. It's very convenient. And yeah, I mean, I think if you just picture, it's pretty much, it's not far from being a city in the States at all. Like I definitely liken it to being in Florida in a lot of
Okay.
ways.
Really, really good. Really, really, really fascinating.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. That's really, really great. So what other places in the Caribbean have you guys traveled to? I mean, now that you live down there full time, where else have you
Fair.
traveled to?
Well, we've only been here for about a year, but my family's from Jamaica, my family's from Antigua, so
Cool, man.
yeah, I've been to Jamaica a number of times. Yeah, I've probably been there
Right.
maybe like 6 times or so.
Oh, okay.
Antigua, yeah, Antigua, I've been once. Um, the we've been to Bermuda. Is that pretty much that probably wraps it up, to be honest with you. Yeah, those have been like the main ones in the Caribbean. Like I said, we've been here for like a little over a year now, so even this is, because it's a year, it's not so fresh, but it's still, an adjustment for sure. Like I'm like right now, it's the holiday season, and I'm missing being home a little bit. I'm feeling a little homesick. I was telling my mom, like, I think this is the longest I've been without like seeing you in person. Because my whole life, even when I was in college or anything, if I wasn't at home, I was very close to home. So it's like, it feels weird. I'm like, oh my gosh, I haven't seen my mom in person in like 6 months. So it's like eating at me a little bit, Aaron. I'm not gonna lie to you. But
Understood. Yeah,
yeah,
absolutely.
that's just part
Yeah.
of the trade-off.
Yeah.
I'll be seeing her soon, God
That's so
willing, and
good.
everything. But yeah, it comes. That's the one thing I do miss about being home is just like the family traditions with my parents, with my cousins, and my side of the family overall. Because outside of my kids and my wife, that's pretty much what I have here.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah. 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 It's really impactful to an American, even if you have heritage overseas, when you actually live in another country for a long
Yeah,
period of time, you start to notice like, whoa, this is really nice, but it's also really different.
it's different.
It
Yeah,
starts to really, really weigh on you like that. And I
yeah.
totally understand.
And it's fun.
The longest time I spent outside of the States was about 3 months, when I lived
Got
in
it.
England.
Oh, you were in
Um,
England for 3 months. Wow.
yeah, yes, in university. Yeah. So I've traveled extensively all over France mostly, but I
Wow.
also lived in England, which is France and England are very fascinating countries, for very different reasons. But yeah, so with university, that's great. So what can you
I'm
tell me
curious
about
about that though.
what do ask me then. So what do you want to
Yeah,
know?
like what are like what do you mean by like what are some of the differences between each other and also, comparing it to the States?
Well, so take for instance, oh boy, but we're gonna get some hate on those keyboard. We're gonna get some keyboard warriors here. Some people are gonna be commenting below right about now, when they do listen to this. So the people in England, the difference for me
Hmm.
is that when I go to France, I can speak French the whole time. So when
Okay.
I go to England, I speak English the whole time, of course. But the
Hmm.
people who live in England, though, although they speak English,
Hmm.
their outlook on life is completely different from an American. The whole social structure is completely different.
Okay.
At least in my estimation, they're lovely. England's a wonderful place. The people
Hmm.
are very friendly, but they do have a very different approach to living.
Got it.
Whereas in France, it's more similar to the United States. French people
Oh,
complain. You know, they
Fair.
complain, they're vocal, they talk, you know.
Yeah.
In England, the people are much more reserved,
I
shockingly,
see.
much more pulled back socially.
Right.
So it's easier for me to be, I mean, I don't want to say it's easier, but I find more parallel with me to a French person than to an English
Hmm.
person because the English people
Oh,
just have a totally different society.
wow.
Yeah,
Oh, that's
it's
very interesting.
completely different. Yeah. Hmm.
Yeah. Wow. That's really cool. I've never been to Europe. I'm actually trying to get out there for next fall, like next September. Hopefully check out a football game over there and
Where do you
just
think you want to
experience that.
go? Where in Europe do you
I
think you
want
want
to
to
go to
go?
London. I want to go to London. I have a buddy out in Norwich, which I would like to visit him.
Yeah, I think, by the way, I lived in Norwich and I think I know who the buddy is. Is the buddy also a content creator?
Yep, Rob. Mr. Rob Sayers, shout out to him. Love that
Yeah.
guy.
Yeah, we're trying, we hope that one of these days we'll get Rob to come to Aaron's Opinion. We're still scheduling that one actually, but
Nice. Yeah,
yeah,
he's an
that's,
amazing guy.
yeah, he's a character like you. He's a character. Yeah,
Yeah.
And Norwich is a tremendous city to live in. So
Wow.
yeah,
I want to
absolutely.
explore. I would love to visit France. I would love to go to Spain.
Yeah.
I want to experience it. It seems like everything seems to be a pretty quick train ride from each other. So, um,
You know,
be here for a few weeks.
not really.
No? Oh, okay.
And let me explain to you. Let me explain to you why that's a not really and not a definitely yes.
Yeah.
Um, you know, realistically, what I found about traveling on train in Europe is traveling by train in Europe takes up the entire day.
Oh, fair.
So yes, depending on where you're going, it might be one or two stops. It might be, you
Yeah.
know, but you could easily, and I've done it, you could easily spend 6 or 7 hours sitting on a train in
Got
Europe
it.
and you still are on the continent of Europe.
Yeah.
There are times where the trains are incredibly progressive and incredibly productive. And then there's other
Hmm.
times where the trains are, you know, slow moving. You know, they don't drive it fast. You know,
Yeah.
there's weather conditions. So
Fair.
with Europe, where it's almost like kind of like with your life as a blind person where you have to plan out your whole day. When you set
Hmm.
up a train trip, you have to take a minute and say, okay, this is what I'm doing that day. I'm going to take the train from this country to this country and then just stop. And then
Got it.
once we get there, then we'll worry, but it's going to take the whole day and it takes a
Well,
lot out of
that's
you.
good advice.
It's a lot longer than you would think.
Fair.
And
Fair. You know what? That's
also
fair.
the train systems, the other thing you have to be really careful about is a lot of the train systems are very high tech. Sometimes
Hmm.
you have to go to the website and book ahead of time. And then you get up to you get up to the card machine. And of course, the machines don't always work. They usually do, but sometimes they don't.
Yeah. I
Then of
see.
course, two lines over, you have somebody who's somehow managed to break the machine by sending the
Yeah.
wrong signal. There's always some sort of
Oh man.
meltdown.
Oh yeah. So okay. So you just gotta
And
have a heads up for some of those variables right there.
you have to plan in for the variables.
Yeah.
The other thing is in France, generally speaking, unless you're in Paris, the capital Paris,
Hmm.
you can count on the fact that the people either won't speak English, can't speak English, or if they do speak English, you probably would not understand them, and they probably won't
Fair.
understand you. Which,
Yeah.
on top of the disability and the cane, that would
It's
create
a
a lot of
lot.
social anxiety. Yeah,
Definitely a lot. I mean,
sure.
fortunately, I probably won't be by myself. I'll probably have the wife or kids with me, but
Yeah, that's fine.
hopefully, I mean, I'm hoping I'll be able to drag my mom, maybe my sister with us too. So hopefully, it'll mitigate some of the stress of being alone in those situations. But I totally get that, man, because I mean, it's so much unfamiliarity, so much, you know, barriers that could exist. To be honest with you, actually, going back to the Meta Glasses talk, that's one pretty cool feature that they have too. They have a live translate feature, which obviously it's not as quick as, me and you conversating. It's like, okay, there's a pause. It does its best
Yeah.
to translate what you would say in French as an example. And then, I could ask it, how do I respond? And then, it's definitely some time in between, what a conversation would really look like.
What's really socially interesting about that
Well,
is that I've learned to respond immediately, and that's how French people are. They don't
Yeah.
pause. This
Fair.
is another cultural thing. Each culture and each language has an amount of time where you're supposed to think about what you say before you say it, but French people generally answer literally immediately. And it's literally if I hear like if somebody comes up to me and they say in French, Bonjour monsieur, I'm expected to say right that very second, Bonjour monsieur, ça va bien? Like that. Like
Yeah.
not even like no
That's
hesitation, where other countries you can be like, hold on a second. In French,
yeah.
with French people, to create a stereotype, they respond very rapidly and very immediately. So each country is different about that.
Wow.
Now, if you are in Spain with your
Hmm.
wife and she's, a fluent,
Oh yeah.
Dominican Spanish speaker, she would be able to
Exactly.
speak enough Spanish and they would understand her.
Yeah.
Probably. She might have a hard time understanding their local dialect,
Yeah,
but she
little
would understand
nuances
enough.
and stuff for
Yeah.
sure. For
Yeah.
sure. But yeah, she'd be able to get us around, I think, which would be convenient from that that
Does she
perspective.
have, so now does your wife's family have any relatives from Spain?
I, to be honest, I'm not 100% sure. I know when they did like a family history thing not too long ago, their family's clearly from Spain and all that stuff. Not that they, know much about that particular time, but I think we would be able to maybe explore and maybe do some uncovering and, just kind of see
Yeah.
where the family came from before they got here to DR. So, it's something we talked about, if we ever went, to Spain to explore in that way. Similar to like my family from Jamaica has some history in London too. Like my dad, as Jamaican as he was born in London. So
Sure, absolutely.
just seeing maybe go by the hospital he was born in or where they used to live. It's definitely something that I find interesting.
Oh,
I would like
it's
to
absolutely
check out.
fascinating,
Yeah,
and I've done that too with my relatives. I've seen houses where people live. That's
yeah,
what's really weird. That is incredibly powerful when somebody takes you up to a house, especially if it's your parent, your grandparent, your relative, and they say, "And
yep,
this is where somebody lived a couple hundred years ago." Then it really hits
yeah.
you like that's the house. You
Yeah,
know?
it's like, oh
Yeah,
my gosh, like I love that feeling. I don't know. I'm such a family oriented, like,
that's so good.
I just want to love everybody. And,
Hmm.
and
Hmm.
even in
You're
Jamaica,
just you're just kind of the type of person I want in my life and the type of
hey
person
man,
that I want
hey,
on the
we're
entertainment.
friends now, so
Yeah,
we're here.
completely, man. Yeah, this is so good, so good. Yeah.
Yeah,
But yeah,
well,
there's a reason
we've
why,
done
I
that.
mean, and there's a reason why in Jamaica they use the pound. They use Jamaican pounds for that
Yep,
very reason.
exactly,
Jamaica
exactly.
originally was a protectorate of the UK
Yep,
originally. And
yep.
yeah, so
I
that's
mean.
why they speak with a British accent sometimes. Yeah,
Yeah, for
exactly.
sure. I mean, shoot, like both my grandparents on that side, while they're both Jamaican, they met in London while they were in college. So
Right.
they both were from Jamaica. There met in college, and it's just funny. It's like you would think they would have met in Jamaica, but yeah,
No, I
that's
wouldn't. I would have
how
thought they would
life
have met in
works.
London, like just like all other Jamaicans. They meet.
Yeah, no, it's true. It's definitely true. So, yeah, I don't know. I just love that family history stuff.
Yeah, it's
And
really
just
fun.
yeah,
It's really fun to think about, and to
yeah.
think about, the perspective of like being a successful blind person. My relatives come from Poland and Eastern
Oh,
Europe. And so I always wonder, because I've spoken, one thing that I've noticed about the podcast space is that
mhm.
there are fewer podcasters and fewer people from Europe who come up to the podcast sphere. And the people in
Interesting.
Europe are a lot more private about speaking
Fair.
up in public and things. So, I mean, that's really
Got it.
interesting.
That makes sense.
Um,
I have a buddy who lives in
yeah.
Poland too, right now. From the States too. He
Oh,
met
really?
he met a woman in the States from Poland, and they got married and moved back there. So he's been learning Polish life for the last like 3 or 4 years, maybe even longer now. But
Oh, that's really fun. And
yeah, he's
is
been
he
there.
also blind?
No,
Oh, well, he can still be on the show. You should still have him on the
yeah.
show.
He's a sighted person. He's sighted,
Yeah,
him and
yeah.
his wife,
Hmm.
but. Yeah, he's been adjusting because he's from the Caribbean originally, and now he's, dealing with Polish winters right now. So he is definitely interesting.
Well, there's a reason why it's called a Polish winter and not a Jamaican winter.
Yes.
Because in Jamaica in
Very
the
true.
winter they say, "Oh, this is beautiful. Oh, I could live here
Yes.
all year." In Poland in the winter they say, "Oh, I need to go to Jamaica."
Yeah, for sure, for sure.
Yeah,
Yeah, it's
yeah,
definitely different, man. But hey,
complete.
he's
Yeah.
actually liking it a lot, so I'm
Oh,
proud.
absolutely. So yeah, back to the art of the podcast. So
Yeah,
have you thought about getting into the podcast circuit because you really have the personality for it? Have you thought of
man,
that?
I appreciate it. Like I said, the closest thing I've done to a podcast
Mm-hmm.
is the last video I did where I was interviewing my wife, and that was very fun, and we've had some really good feedback on it, and I think I like that realm where we can sit down and have a conversation about how blindness affects my life and our lives, as a family, but also like what the experience is like living abroad, adjusting to life abroad as parents, and all these things. There's so much nuances. So I guess in a way that would be the closest thing to a podcast that at least I've thought about doing. I guess I could probably post that, as an audio only, because it was just a conversation, that was a good one. But outside of that, I know like me and my cousin, who I was telling you, he's a streamer with the same visual impairment I have. We joked about, the potential of doing something together, but I don't think he has the time. And to be honest, I'm so dedicated to doing what I'm doing to kind of add something else on the plate right now while I'm still trying to figure this out is it'd be a little much right now. So maybe sometime in the future,
I
but
understand. You just
yeah,
got to keep reaching out to people, even the people that you think won't talk to you. The
fair,
people who you think never will are the people who always will. And sometimes you're not
fair.
going to interview. You're not able to interview everybody. Nobody is. So that's why you have to reach out to everybody because
Yeah,
you know, I reach out to a lot of people and only some of them come.
got it.
You'd be surprised that that's why you have to have more guests than you actually interview because
Yeah,
many don't come. Many get
fair.
nervous. Many have other issues. Many
That's
have,
fair.
life happens. So
Yeah,
that's
no,
why
that
you have to
makes
you
that
have to
makes
kind
sense.
of have a surplus is the amount that you want. You always want a
Fair.
surplus of opportunity, not enough opportunity. What you
Yeah,
want is a surplus. But
that's
yeah, you
fair.
have the personality for it. Yeah, it's really easy to, especially if you just record things on Zoom, to simply put the Zoom audio into a
Fair.
podcast player, and then that's a super good way of doing that. And then
Yeah.
the difference is that the reason why I'm telling you is because you would get two different audiences. You would think that it would all be the same people, but it's really not. The people who listen
Wow.
to a podcast and they've done studies, it's a different personality type,
Yeah.
So it does
Okay.
affect your public perception, when you have
Wow.
an audio content only, right?
Yeah.
So we have YouTube people who watch the YouTube video, right?
Hmm.
They're watching, right? Which is great.
Fair.
Well, then I have people who are listening to the podcast. They're listening, right?
Got it.
Listening is a more precise, and I'm sure I'll get a lot of hate for this, but listening is a more precise sense because you're not also listening and seeing. When you're listening, you're just listening and internalizing. That's the
Yeah.
subtlety. So people who listen
That
to
makes sense.
podcasts are people who are really, really, really interested. And also people who are watching the YouTube videos are looking for other things. They're looking for
Got it.
art. They're looking for color, flair, flavor,
Yeah.
you know. But that's what I'll tell you.
That
Don't
makes
don't sell yourself short. Get into the podcast circuit and
Here's a question for you
please
because
ask all your. I always like to ask what if you
yeah.
can ask me questions to really if you can ask me questions to really make me sweat to get under my skin. What do you really
Yeah.
want to ask me? Go right ahead. Dig into it.
I don't think I have any of those up my sleeve, but
Oh really?
in terms of audio only, iTunes, Spotify, and things like
Hmm.
that, like how is discoverability on those platforms? Because I know like YouTube is obviously all of these things are tough to be, to be able to be discovered and found by viewers or listeners. But I guess I'm just curious about like how what your experience was like being found on these platforms, or like how do you, kind of make it more
Well,
uh, in
here's
your favor?
here's the thing. It's not about what's in my favor. It's about what's in your favor because I'm putting
Fair.
this together for you, not for me. I'm putting this
Fair.
together for everybody else, not for you, not for me.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, that makes sense too.
The way that it ultimately works though is the ratings, reviews, and downloads. So the
Hmm.
software counts how many downloads you have.
Got it.
And then they look at the ratings and reviews, and based on which is why you should rate this show.
Yeah.
For that
Oh,
very
I will.
reason, because that's the only way that other people find out.
Yeah.
Ultimately, what happens is people who care share the shows and put it on different pages and share it around. But ultimately, as your podcast grows, just like any other product, as you have more material, more meals, more different
Hmm.
conversations, over time those kind of tinklate, as I call it, those kind of tinkle around, and
Yeah.
people come up to you. I had somebody come up to me today. I had never heard of them, and they said, "Well, you're doing awesome work." They said, and I was like, "Well, who are you?" But thank you.
Yeah.
So the answer is, as I said before, be careful as you do. Be careful what you say online. Be careful how you present yourself, because
Yep.
the audience members that really are the decision makers are the people who never have the courage to come up to you. Those silent people who secretly
Fair.
support you.
Yeah.
You'd be
Yeah.
surprised how many people secretly care. And when they secretly care, they
Yeah.
secretly share.
You know
So
what? That
people are
makes
very
sense.
secretive. And
Yeah.
I can secretly tell what countries download it, and I get a chart that shows, right?
Yeah.
But also with people using VPNs to listen to things, you never really know. That's
True.
why I advocate for
Absolutely.
people to be successful, because
Yeah.
you should only show the success, right?
Yeah.
I'll phrase it this way. If you want to have if you want to have a meltdown and throw a glass across the room and shatter beer all over the ceiling, don't record yourself doing it. Just do it for yourself, for the fun of it.
Yeah.
Okay?
Oh, fair.
So that's kind of the point. You
Makes
want to
sense.
represent you the very best. You want to show me the best you.
Yeah.
We all
Definitely.
have our moments, we all have our days, but
Yeah.
you only want to show others your good side.
Yeah. No,
Um,
I definitely.
and then,
Yeah.
with me, when they get to know me better, then they'll find out the bad news. But I only want to tell them the good stuff. You only want to start with the good stuff before you say, all right, here's the truth. Here's what's wrong.
Yeah. Yeah. It's very true, right? Like, yeah, if you post the wrong thing, say the wrong thing, that could definitely
It
ruin.
impacts you. But
Yeah.
what I'm
Oh my
saying is
God.
that the wrong things are what hold you back the
Yeah.
most, and
Yeah.
the right things are what the secret supporters share the most. So
Yeah.
it's a
That's
very
fair.
secretive and very positive equation. I meant to ask you, so
Hmm.
being though that you're still working on your Spanish skills, so
Yep.
have you gotten to really have like deep conversations with other Dominican parents about like what they think of, blindness? Because there's an enormously high, not to be ableist or to
Yeah.
create stereotypes. There are
Yeah.
an enormously high number of Dominicans who are blind with RP. It's very common in your part of
Yeah.
the world. It's out of control. Yeah.
You know what? I haven't. The only parents that I would say I've spoken to are the parents in our family and circle.
Right.
Which definitely could be. I definitely could do that. And that's a really good idea.
I mean,
I know
I'm just
that.
curious because,
Yeah.
because RP, no, I know you do not have RP, but
Hmm.
RP is a serious problem in Dominican Republic, all over
Yeah.
Latin America. It's a systemic issue that really
Yeah. I
impacts
mean,
people.
I was misdiagnosed with RP up until I was like 16, 17 years old. Actually,
How do you get that's a little odd. How
be,
do you get misdiagnosed considering how much money has been invested? How do
so
you get a
it's
misdiagnosis?
it's funny. I think the stat was like 70% of people with my condition, choroideremia, are
Right?
misdiagnosed with
Huh.
RP.
Now I
So
know.
yeah, it's because they're very similar condition. Like all the symptoms are pretty much a mirror of each other.
Hmm.
The difference is looking at the CHM gene in your retinas or the back of your
Okay.
eye, and that's pretty much the indicator of, oh, you have RP or you have choroideremia. Like even, we were talking about Rob. He just found out that he was misdiagnosed his whole life. He found out like a month ago that he has what I have. We have the same condition, but he thought he had RP up until last month. So, yeah, it happens to a large number of us. I know in the States, I think it's like 5 or 6 thousand people with the condition in the whole country, which is
Oh,
obviously
wow.
much less than RP.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's, to a lot of doctors, it looks the same. And because RP is more popular, they kind of throw us in that RP bucket. It's not until you do genetic testing that it tells you something different.
Right, right. And I think in my case, for me, when I was born in 91, being a born baby then, they knew right away that I have glaucoma, so
Got it.
that was at that point, glaucoma was much more understood back then
I
in
see.
some regards. In some regards, it really wasn't, but in other
Hmm.
regards, glaucoma was already very, very, very pervasive and very understood. And
Got it.
we're just discovering now how much we do not know about RP and how much of an effect it has and how
Yeah.
it is really pervasive in your part of the world, in the Dominican
Yeah.
Republic. Most of the Latin American countries have a uncharacteristically high rate of RP in their societies, whether they care to admit it or not. It's a
Yeah.
major
It's so
problem.
interesting. I feel like, me and you might have to talk about something to build out around here. Maybe we could do something about, I don't know, maybe make some sort of content
Well,
about
I
this
think,
and
yeah.
explore
I
it a
mean, I
bit.
think because I'm not there and because I do not speak Spanish, I think
Fair.
that would be harder on my end. But what I would say is you should try, if you want, you should try to do more interviews with other Dominicans who
Yeah.
have RP and really educate people about RP, right?
Yeah.
And also to make people aware that it's nothing to be afraid of. A lot of people have it in that country. It's a very common thing. Yeah. Hmm.
I'm about to just write that down because I think so it's funny. I've actually been to my local um commission for the blind here, and I'll actually be starting mobility training
So okay,
pretty soon.
how are the services there, right? Since you live there, how's the
Yes.
ophthalmology section? How's the services? What services are available in
So
Dominican? Yeah.
it's actually amazing because when I visited, I was kind of I don't want to say I was assuming one thing, but I was used to, the services that I have back in the States, right? Where, I have a counselor. She sets me up with a mobility specialist who maybe I could see them once a month. And, I have a Braille instructor. They send somebody to come to the house to kind of make it more accessible and things like that. Here, you have mobility training twice a week. Technology and Braille training that could happen twice a week. They are very big on music. So music and
Hmm.
hobbies, I'll say, but especially music. So if you want to learn an instrument, you can learn for free. They have stuff there. They have people there to teach you and help you learn, just so you have an outlet. Is what I pretty much gathered. Well, you go to this place, they have a chef there that cooks food that's absolutely free. Yeah.
Can I just come and eat the food?
I mean, that's what my plan was.
Oh, okay. Just give just open up that keg, pour some of that
Yeah,
beer.
it's so much little things that for me, like being there, it felt a lot more like, like again, family oriented. They're like,
Yeah.
you play chess, like come hang out and play dominoes. The chess is tactile. The soccer ball has like bells inside of it, so the people there could kick the ball and play, and it's like. It's more family. It's more fun, in my opinion. It's a lot more things along that realm versus just like, okay, mobility training, braille training, train. This is like, yeah, we're gonna train you, and it's more consistent than what I'm used to. But also, let's have some fun. What games do you like? You like bingo? We got tactile bingo, and like I said, domino, soccer, all these things. To like have fun. You go in there and people are laughing, and
That's
having a good
beautiful.
time, and they're
Oh,
just
that's so
enjoying their
good.
company, and so
What
it's
about what about like nature stuff? Like for me, one of my favorite nature
Mhm.
activities is like snorkeling. So
Oh,
what can you tell me about like swimming and snorkeling and being on the
see.
water?
See, I've never snorkeled, but I do swim. I love being on the ocean. One of the things I enjoy most about the water now is my son. He's like loves fish. I don't know where the fascination has come from, but he loves exploring and trying to catch fish and things like that while we're at the beach or the river. But we spend a lot of time at the beach. We spend a lot of time in the mountains, these rivers that are just like so relaxed. It's like just having a pool
Isn't
where
that
you can just
cool?
lay
Yeah.
down and just relax and talk. And we grill by the water. We cook and, bring food and drink. And, the kids are having a blast. We're all together. And, it's nature has been, I would say, my biggest outlet and way to get back in a positive mindset, when I have my down days. It's like
Yeah.
when I feel them kind of creeping up on me, or like I'm feeling self-conscious about things, or
Hmm.
I could be just in a mood, like going to the mountains and just that fresh air and just breathing and like being by the water. All these things have been probably my biggest way to kind of bounce back and keep going, So nature has been huge for me.
Man, oh man, that's from my heart to yours. That's an absolute amen, man. That is
Yeah,
amazing stuff. Yeah. Yeah, that's so good. That's so
man,
good. Yeah.
I
Yeah.
appreciate
Do you
it.
do you have any favorite, do you have any, I mean, even though you're not so good in Spanish, do you still have like a favorite Dominican show that you watch? I mean, like, what have you absorbed like of the Dominican culture?
Uh, I would say shows no, because I'm not even. It's funny. I've never been big into TV. I would say soccer slash football
Mm-hmm.
games have
Mm-hmm.
been big in my house. My son plays soccer. He's only 6, but he loves him some soccer right now. Probably be testing out baseball. So anything I could do to just kind of be involved in what he's interested in. I grew up a basketball fan. I played American football, when I was younger. So um, he likes baseball and soccer. So I'm like, hey, whatever you want to do, we'll play drills. Like I'll put drills on YouTube, or we'll watch, some of the live games. We're actually planning on going to a local soccer game
Oh, that's cool.
pretty
Super
soon.
cool. Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, I want to kind of share those experiences with him and things like that. But in terms of the Dominican culture, man, the most I could say is just being out, out in places. There's like Oktoberfest was something that happened here, and Oktoberfest here it's a party. Like yeah, it's very different from Oktoberfest back at home, where you see in my experience, where you go somewhere, there's a lot of beer and things like that. Yeah, there could be music playing, but it's more of like a relaxing adult vibe,
Yeah.
where you go and drink and you have fun in that way. Here is like it's blasting music. It is a
Oh, I hate that.
party. It is super exciting. It's fun. There's like concerts happening. It's sections for the kids to have fun. Like it's amazing. Like next year, I will definitely record the experience and turn it into a video for
That's
YouTube and
incredible.
things like that. But I think it's I would say the biggest difference between here and back home, at least in my experience, again, it's just the energy and happiness, man. It's like here it's like it doesn't matter how much money somebody has, it feels like they're enjoying their life more. And if that makes sense, it's like there's people, no matter what time of day it is, outside playing dominoes with a group of friends, or like drinking a beer and having a good time. And it's not strange. It's not like back home in New York, if it's 11 or lunchtime and somebody's outside drinking a beer, you're like, what's going on here? Here is like, oh no, this guy's enjoying his life. It's like this lady's having fun, and everybody's talking and communicating. And of course, it's not perfect, right? There's obviously people on the other side of the spectrum, but That's definitely one thing that I've noticed, like the amount of laughter and just people having a good time and caring, man. Like I didn't mention this before, but one of the biggest concerns people had about, us moving here before we moved here was, oh, is it safe? You know, are you okay, going to be okay over there? And it's funny because where we are, and this is the case in most of the places that I've been, when you go to a store, you go to a restaurant, you go anywhere, there's security everywhere. And especially when they see me pull out my white cane, I would say more times than not, they see my cane and now they take full responsibility. Like they're making sure I'm okay, first of all, opening my door, closing my door, making sure my whole family's good, like, like stopping traffic for us and things like that. Like I've had the full like presidential experience because of my white cane. And it's from a place of
Sure.
just genuine like care. You know what I mean? And sure,
Absolutely.
we tip them, of course, but it's like,
Hmm.
it's like the amount of care that comes with it is not something I've experienced back home. You know what I mean? So, that's another thing that I appreciate. And I would drop that in the, oh, is it accessible buckets? Like, listen, like that's a perk that I didn't even know was a thing. It's just like, like they legit look out for you and take care of you in a way, I wasn't used to.
That's so beautiful. Yeah, yeah. That's not at all surprising to me. It's really good. Really, really good. Well, I got to tell you, it sounds like you're living an absolutely fabulous life, and your
Trying.
YouTube channel is so amazing. And now that the whole world will get to appreciate and connect with both of us now, so this
I
is so good.
appreciate it, man.
So,
I
man, let me
definitely
tell you,
appreciate it.
after a great episode, towards the end of an episode, I always
Yep.
say, so Cory, if you can ask me only one question, or if you have other questions that you really want to know about me, what do you really want to know about Aaron Richmond and Aaron's opinion? What do you really want to know?
I wanna know about like what are your favorite types of guests? How do you determine who would be a good guest? And then how do I get to be in your top, like, I don't want to say top five, but like even if it's not this time, I want to be in the top 10% of your favorite guests one day. So how do I do that?
Well, it depends on how many other feelings you want me to hurt. If you want me to hurt other people's feelings, then I can say, yeah, man, you're number five. You're number five. You know what? 2 days from now, no, I'm sorry. I'm going to have to, you know what? I'm going to have to demote you. No, number seven. You're seven
Yeah.
on Wednesdays. What really stands out to me is I don't do favorites. Okay.
Fair. Fair.
But because there's no such thing as favorite. And
Yeah, everybody's
here's
different.
because not just that, everybody's different, but because of the reason why I started Aaron's Opinion in the first place. So I don't know when you started the YouTube, but I started Aaron's Opinion in 2020 during the
Got it.
height of the pandemic.
Got it.
And I started this podcast because I realized that there are not enough podcasts in the blindness space where people are willing and able to come up to somebody else's microphone and share their life story, right?
Fair. Fair.
So I created Aaron's Opinion for the reasoning that I want to give Cory the chance to speak about his life. So
Fair.
it's not so much about favorite. It's not so much about top 10, you know.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah. Yeah.
about in 30 years, we'll look back on this and everybody will appreciate it. So it's not
Yeah.
for you, not for me. It's
Definitely.
for the future.
Nah, that's beautiful though.
But guests that I like, well, guests that I'm able to tell, you know, based on, you know, how you communicated with me before the show, your
Yeah.
positivity, your social
Yeah.
skills, your sociability, your motivation,
Fair.
you know,
Fair.
I can tell motivation, you know, I can tell the difference between 99% ready and 100% ready.
Definitely.
And that's a huge difference.
Yeah. That makes sense.
You know, so that's how I tell. But basically, I reach out to people around the blindness network, around these various
Yeah.
networks, and over time, episodes like this one get shared around. So
Yeah.
over time, as you have more to share, then more people find out when there's more to dig into. But
Yeah. Fair.
that's kind of how. But
That's awesome.
you're a huge character, man. You have a huge personality. Yeah.
I appreciate it. And by the way, I only started my YouTube channel, I think it was last February. Well,
Oh,
this
last February.
February
Oh,
of
really?
2025. So
Oh, really?
it's a new channel. Yeah, overall, it's definitely been growing. And man, I'm definitely grateful for, that's opened up doors. I'm happy to have a friend in you now, because of the channel.
Absolutely.
So I'm thankful for it all,
I'll
man.
send you more, and I'll send you more about that,
Please.
and things like that. But they know that's really your growth of that channel is really incredible. So you should be very proud of that. Yeah,
I
yeah,
appreciate it, man. I appreciate it. I'm
absolutely. All
working
right,
hard. Like I said, I have arguably the biggest video coming up on my channel next week with these blind life hacks, and I'm looking forward to the future of it and seeing where it takes us, man. Because that's one thing about our community. I feel like the more people we have doing these things, the more waves we can make, and the more changes and improvements we can make, and for all of us. So I'm just happy to add my little ripple to this whole thing, and hopefully it helps more people. You know what I mean? So that's what it's all about for me.
absolutely perfect. Any so what other final questions do you have before I ask you the final question? What final questions do you have?
I think I'm good, man. This was really fun. I I uh I just appreciate being here and talking to you. Your questions, I've been on a few podcasts now, Aaron, but your questions have been amazing, man. I feel like this is actually the first time I think I've really spoken about life abroad on any other on any podcast, and it's such a big part of me. It didn't hit me that I haven't done that until you were asking about it. I'm like, oh wait, this is a first for me.
Yeah, yeah, I really appreciate it, and it's all fascinating,
No,
absolutely
it's
fascinating.
your
Yeah,
your professionalism, your skills, man, your
yours
voice,
too.
everything is amazing, man. And so
Right, well,
I just want to
you're always welcome. Glad you enjoyed it. Glad you
thanks,
enjoyed
my
it.
brother.
And we couldn't have, as I say, we couldn't have done it without you.
Yeah, man.
You're the flavor of this one. So I
Hey,
tremendously salute you and appreciate it.
I
If
appreciate it.
someone, in addition to simply clicking the link in the description and following along in the description card, if somebody wants to get in touch with a Corey from anywhere in the universe, how can you be
Yeah.
reached?
Oh, for sure. So,
Yeah.
well, one, my YouTube channel is Legally Blind No Limits. You could definitely reach out there. I'm also on Instagram and TikTok at the same name, Legally Blind No Limits. Or if you want to shoot me an email, I've been working with sponsors. I've been working with advertisers on the channel and all around my social media platform. My email is Cory, Cory, at n0limits.org. So it's like n, the number zero, limits.org. I'm definitely looking to collaborate with more people, learn more about foundations and organizations and brands, and hopefully just help more people. I'm hoping that all of this leads to more people getting the tools and resources they need to live better and enjoy their life more. I want more of us to have fun and laugh and smile, because I think so many of us are just, unfortunately, just very serious and, figuring out these obstacles and challenges and struggles that we have. But I don't think that should hinder the amount of smiles and laughs we should have. So I'm hoping that together as a community we could do that. That's what I want. So yeah, that's how you could reach me, and I look forward to responding to messages, responding to emails, and figuring things out together. So yeah,
You're always welcome on Aaron's Opinion. All right, everybody. Thank you so much. Don't forget, keep listening, everybody, and we'll be back soon with another exciting episode. Corey, Legally Blind No Limits. Absolute honor to have you on the show, mate.
oh, thank
Absolute.
you.
All right. All right, everybody. And of course, Corey, don't hang up. We'll be back in a second.
For
And of
sure.
course, until next time, everybody, keep podcasting out there. Have a wonderful day from wherever you are. And of course, don't forget, help one person today. Help 1 million people tomorrow.